Health Check is brought to you locally by Island Cancer Center.
Half a day, everybody. May, if you didn't know, is Mental Health Awareness Month, a very, very important time for our island community because mental health is a real thing. We've been talking about this for several years. I have James Cooper, nurse with the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center over there in Tamuning. So, James, half a day, my friend. Good to see you.
Today. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's talk about Mental Health Awareness Month and what types of activities and outreach typically takes place in that month.
Sure. So for the month, we've had outreaches and activities really since the beginning of the month, starting with the governor's proclamation signing, and that happened on May 3rd. We also, on May 9th, we had a big Children's Mental Health Awareness Week jamboree, and that happened over at Skinner's Plaza, where we had several of our partner organizations and vendors join us to just promote children's wellness and to be able to just enjoy time with the kids. And then on May 16th, so just last week, we had Mental Health Action Day, where we were really encouraging everyone to take an hour that day to get involved in their own mental wellness. That included things like connecting with family and friends and just taking time out for themselves. And then finally, this Saturday, we've got the thing right, where are we? Right over here. So we've got our big Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Fair happening at the Micronesia Mall Center Court from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And I would say that is great for mental health. You have like the lovely flowers and you have the smiley faces and everything. And that kind of drives home the point because, I appreciate how you're talking about mental health in our youth. And these days, young people are aware that mental health is an important thing. But for parents, how do you actually marshal that message across to them and say, take an active part in your child's mental health? And what kind of questions do you recommend they ask?
Yeah, so I think first of all, it's very important for a parent to be involved in their child's life, and really approaching mental health for parents is really about knowing it starts with about knowing your child. So some questions that parents might ask really starts with being able to make some observations about their child. So it would be things like, do I notice any changes to how my child is eating or sleeping? Like, are they sleeping later? Or eating more than they typically do. It would be things like, are there any drastic changes to how they're doing, like in school or with their friends? Any kind of like friend relationship breakups or just starting to meet with new friends, that sort of thing. Are they suddenly spending time with different people? Or maybe they're not spending time with anyone at all. They're staying in their room or they're isolating even more. And then, of course, there's some of the bigger sign kind of things. Like, do you notice any signs of, your child or youth doing things like using tobacco, vape, alcohol? Those things typically give off smells, or they have certain behaviors that are associated with those things. So really,
Would
it
that
starts
be
with
indicative of maybe children using that as a coping mechanism or as some outlet?
absolutely, and it's we see everything from children using that to fit in with their friends. So going back to who are they spending time with, but absolutely, it's a way for them to self-medicate and to try and deal with some stuff that they might be going through. But ultimately, parents want to be able to again know their child and ask these questions kind of in a non-judgmental way, so that they're not scaring their child from ever wanting to turn to them to talk about things.
Sure. And while many parents may not be, licensed clinicians, I mean, no one knows their kid better than they do. And that being the case, James, how can parents know if their child has a problem that is serious?
Yeah, so again, it really starts by knowing your child, being able to make those observations. Big changes in their lives are usually a good indicator of something going on. But again, it's just as important to just have the conversation with your child and not make those assumptions. I think when it comes to children and really a lot of adults as well, a lot of times emotions are big and they don't necessarily have the words to describe what's going on for them. And in those types of situations, people tend to act out, right? They have behaviors. It comes out as anger or resentment or anxiety. It comes out as something other than being able to say, I feel sad or I feel angry. So really, it's about paying attention to what they're doing as well. I think when it comes to a more serious problem, it's really noticing when those behaviors start to affect how a child is functioning in different domains. So if there's like a big drop in school grades and school performance, that's a big sort of functioning thing that happens out in the community. Also, running away from home, like that's another example of how there's a major impact to what's going on.
Sure.
So really, it's about paying attention to those things, and also, if parents or friends even are paying attention to others who are indicating like they're maybe a threat of harming themselves or harming other people, or maybe they're just not able to take care of themselves. Like maybe they typically are pretty good with their hygiene, and all of a sudden that just stopped. Those are pretty indicative of some more serious issues going on.
Okay, so of course there are a litany of resources that parents can avail of online, many books and everything. But your friends over at GBHWC, once again, in Tamuning, they are the best resources if you have any questions whatsoever. So James, how can people contact you guys?
Yeah, so we always have our 988 suicide and crisis lifeline. A lot of times people think it's really only the number to call when someone is feeling suicidal or experiencing suicidal thoughts. But really, it's a phone line that people can call when they really need some direction, when they really need someone to talk to, when they're going through something in their life. So they don't have to be experiencing that suicidality. It could just be they're going through something and they need to connect with someone. So 988 is a big resource. We also offer everything from, of course, the higher end treatment, counseling, case management services, medication services, but we also offer a lot of community-based training. So we have our prevention and training branch. They do a great job of putting out community-based trainings on things like youth mental health first aid, adult mental health first aid. There's a national curriculum called Assist, and that's on suicide prevention training, being able to recognize signs and symptoms of suicide. So there's a lot of great resources available. And 988 is always the number to start off with.
All right, so all you have to do is dial those three numbers, and the good, hardworking folks over at GBHWC, who not just this month but year round and everything, are here for you, and they're going to get you the help you need and point you in the right direction. So James, to you and all your colleagues, thank you so much for what you guys do for our island community.
Great, thank you.
All right, that's James Cooper, nurse at the Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. Thanks so much.
Health Check is brought to you locally by Island Cancer Center.